This is Powering the Future, a podcast series brought to you by Smart Grid Forums. One planet, one power grid. Hello everyone. Today we're looking back at the Smart Grid Technical Forum held in March of this year at The Hague and looking ahead to next year's event in Paris. SGT is one of the key forums for the power utility sector, from tech trends and cybersecurity to real conversations that happen on the exhibition floor. We're going to be unpacking what made this year's event stand out. Now, I'm joined by two fantastic guests who were active participants in the forum, Johan Malstrom, who is a cybersecurity product owner at Westermo, and Paul van Dijk, Vice President of Business Development Europe at TRC. So let's dive into what they saw, heard, and took away from SGT25. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's great to be here, Mandana. Thanks, and look forward to a nice conversation here.
So it would be great to know, from your point of view, what the big trends were that you picked up from the conference and in the exhibition at SGT25. Johan, your thoughts?
Yes. So we talked together with my colleagues on this, and we were a couple that participated in the meeting, and we saw a couple of trends. And the major trend that we started with and got started with was virtualization in digital substations. And we saw that there's new discussions on this topic, but also new proof of concept. Some interesting. We saw that there was a trend on efficient engineering, and there are two schools in this. Either start up by brute force, let's get this done and learn by doing. And the second one was, we need to solve everything first. We need to know what we're going to do because this is a major project. So that's two big major trends. We also have that there's a lack of knowledge in the network technology part, and specifically IT network knowledge. That's something that is lacking, and how should we solve this? Engineering tools is another trend, but for us, private wireless networks is the one was very interesting to see. 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, satellite communication for utilities specifically.
Great. Yeah, some great insights that you've picked up there, Johan. In terms of the brute force approach versus the testing and waiting approach, did you see a shift in terms of the number of utilities who are talking about kind of learning on the go as compared to the more cautious approach?
Yes, I would say so. That there are some that, okay, we need to do this, so let's go. I think that utilities has been a bit more cautious previously and we need to know everything. We need to have ways of handling hundreds or thousands of substations at the same time. But let's get started. I think that's a new approach. Yeah.
So, Paul, how about you? What trends did you pick up from the utility presentations and also from your fellow exhibitors there?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the opportunity to share that. And I fully recognize, Johan, what you said, that there's a clear shift in how utilities are looking at introducing new capabilities. In the past, they were very, very reluctant and focusing on reliability, but there's a tremendous urgency at the moment where they need new capabilities. And I think that is what for me stood out, or for us stood out. So the first thing that we realized and that came through all the presentations is the impact of renewable generation on one side and electrification on the demand side on the other side, which is impacting everything that grid operators are doing and facing. And what we have seen, and it's a trend that we've seen a long time, that they're moving away from TRC is a consultant more on IT OT systems, so more on the software side, and customers are moving away from silos and monoliths to more looking at process support and integrated systems. And that is something we saw a long time, but now people really start working on that. And what held them back always was exactly what Johan said. First, we need to have high data quality. First, we need to have the system in order, etc., etc. And right now, what we've seen in several presentations, let's start small, let's start working and build it from there. And that is the renewables and electrification is putting a lot of new requirements on the DNOs and TSOs, particularly when the focus on resiliency, and it's not just climate resiliency, but also cyber resiliency or the impact of, let's call it, physical events. I mean, there's the geopolitical, there's a lot going on, which is a threat, potential threat for those customers, and we see that they're looking how to create a more resilient capability there. And simple things to start small and let's say build capabilities is on data visualization, where on several presentations we saw the first small projects or implementations with huge impact already. That stood out for us.
Right. Okay. That's really interesting. I mean, it is considered a very conservative sector, slow moving, which can be, of course, very good in terms of making sure that systems are reliable and we don't suffer blackouts, but a little frustrating in terms of supplies entering the market. What would you say in terms of percentage, just to give viewers an idea, how much faster have the utilities got this year as compared to perhaps the previous couple of years in terms of their procurement speed?
Well, I'm not sure if it's just the procurement speed that is changing. I think overall they need to go faster. They feel that, and they're doing that. So I think all of us have been in the industry a long time, and if you compare it with, let's say, 20 years ago or so, I think the lead times have probably halved or so. So really, there's over the past couple of years, I mean, it is slowly decreasing the throughput times of new projects, of new implementations. But compared to 20 years, it's easily half.
Right. Easily halved. Okay. In terms of new suppliers entering the market, what's your recommendation for how they can navigate the sector, how they can best navigate the sector? Obviously, for the big established players with strong brand presence, with established relationships, it's a little easier. But new innovative suppliers, what would be your advice for how they should enter the market and what they should expect?
I think this is a question for you, Paul. I'm not sure.
Well, I was hoping for a good answer there, with TRC relatively new here in Europe. In all fairness, we are scaling up. We have a huge US presence and a strong US brand, but we're building up that brand as we speak, and our capabilities here in Europe. And for us, events like SGTech are fabulous events. They are right sized from our perspective, with the right audience, a very focused, targeted audience, but still quite a large pool of customers being there, but not a massive just a trade fair. It is not massive. For us, it's right sized, right people there, and having the possibility to interact there, position the brand, but also have meaningful conversations at the same time. I think that is what I would recommend any, let's say, startup, scale up. This is an ideal moment to build your network and build your credibility.
Yeah, I agree with you, Paul. I mean, we appreciate the utility heavy approach, or that the visitors are the customers. That it's not only other vendors. The attendance we get to our booth was very good. The people are the ones who are actually interested in our products. So SGT concept is really good from that point of view. We reach out to the right audience for us. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. We, in terms of our planning for the next event and our planning for every event, actually, we conduct quite a lot of research with the utilities themselves. So I personally conduct interviews with around 100 utilities before we put the program together, define the content to make sure it's really objective and it's all the issues that are top of mind for the utilities. And that's what draws them to the event. We make sure that there's a 50-50 balance of utilities in the participation versus suppliers, so that the conversations are really meaningful and in-depth from a user perspective. So with that in mind, what would you recommend for the new suppliers coming on board to exhibit with us next year? how should they really leverage the conference? Because it's not at SGT, it's not just about setting up your booth and then waiting for the traffic to come to you. There's so much going on, so many opportunities. How would you recommend the conference should be leveraged by exhibitors, and how proactive do you need to be to really grab their attention?
I think
Yeah,
there's
so
one thing, sorry,
go on.
that is, don't stay in your booth. Attend the talks and listen to the presentation. There's so much communicated in those, and that gives specifically maybe for a new company that is entering the market. What are the opportunities? What are the customers asking for? What is that from a general perspective? Then you get a lot of good interactions in the booth. But go to and listen to the presentation. There's a lot of knowledge there.
And I can only echo that, Johan. And as you said, Mandana, the research that you're doing, that is, you will recognize that in the program, and the fact that it's only customers sharing their experiences and well, telling their stories. I mean, that is so valuable. And if you look at day one, which is let's say more on a senior level, that is where the business is heading, which is from an overall perspective relevant. And on day 2, day 3, that is where, let's say, the details are going. If you go there and have the follow-up conversations, actively reaching out to customers that are there, I mean, for me, that's the best way to get value out of this event.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to planning SGT26 in Paris. And we're delighted that Johan and Paul, you're both going to join us again. So that's fantastic. We're looking forward to welcoming you back. What do you hope to get out of the next edition? How would you like to build on your participation and take your interactions and your sort of the output of the event to the next level for yourselves?
So for us as TRC, as we said, we are a scale up here in Europe. We just started late last year in Europe, so we are relatively new. We hope next year that we will be able to share first experiences, our first references, but definitely build on it from there. So people will recognize us as a company, as a trusted business advisor, as the go-to party for when it comes to IT/OT integration or implementations. But critical is indeed that we let's call it the land and expand. And in these events, that's where we can leverage the contacts, share those experiences, or ideally have customers share those experiences, so that from there we can continue growing our business.
Great. Thank you, Paul. And Johan, your thoughts on that?
I think we partly can say Westermo's Network Technologies is a growing company. We just announced acquisition of Velotech. So, and we work with a lot of different partners. So we think that we want to make sure that we come as a solution provider, not only as a router or firewall or a switch deliverer. So we are a vendor of those products, but we also have a good cooperation with other colleagues in the business. So I hope we can make something with that. I'm not telling too much on how we want to go, but
Great. My final question for each of you is, if you could have one wish for something new in the presentations from the utilities for next year, what would that one wish be?
That's a hard one on that. The one with
yes.
For me, it would be something around the integration of the different systems. And what I like about SGTech is that there's different tracks, and they're all discussing about the specific elements for their tracks. And I think, and you see it a little bit on day one, let's say the process through all those tracks that is critical. But how to really connect the substation automation is input for all the software systems, and the smart meter part and control systems are also related. And somehow that integration part is probably an element in how to deal with that. That might be an approach from my perspective.
Yeah. Great, thank you.
Johan, any thoughts? I'm at my heart communication guy, but also cybersecurity is very important. So I would like to see if a utility is talking about how they have and got experience about the standards appliance, NIS2 directives, the 62443, how they implement, I mean, experience from their part to see how, because that helps us as a vendor of products to see these things. And yeah, that's, I think that would be a wish. That's, yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you so much for your insights and your recommendations, gentlemen. It will be hugely helpful for the new suppliers that we're inviting into SGT26 in Paris. And we look forward to seeing you there again. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Join us again next week as we unpack another big topic shaping the future of the power grid. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and catch us on LinkedIn as well. Until then, thanks for listening. This is Powering the Future, a podcast series brought to you by Smart Grid Forums. One planet, one power grid.